Well, welcome everyone to another episode of the Exhibition Stallion Interviews with special guest Shawn Oakes, here today to talk about Rowdy Nick. Rowdy Nick is a 2013 Bay Stallion sired by Striking 'Em Out by Rowdy Yankee and Out of the Mare Twistin' Nicky Checks by Buono Chexinick. Rowdy Nick stands at the Interstate Vet Clinic in Brandon, South Dakota, just east of Sioux Falls. So Shawn Oakes, thank you for joining us here today to chat about your guy there, Rowdy Nick.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So I'm just curious, does Rowdy Nick go by a barn name that everybody has come to know him by?
We call him Rowdy.
I was going to guess that.
Yeah. He's been known as Rowdy, and he's a great horse.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, I want to say thank you for supporting the exhibition stallion auction, because we're trying our best to create something really special up here in Canada. And back in the day, we had a really strong breeding program that touched in multi-disciplines, and that was the Canadian Supreme. And so, it went out. They shut down the Canadian Supreme a number of years ago now. We're going to go back 6-7 years, whatever it was. But we're working hard to bring that back. And it's began with some reining shows. So, of course, last year we offered our first reining stakes classes connected to our program. This is just the second year that we're doing our stallion auction. So bringing Rowdy into the auction from South Dakota, we truly appreciate that support. We hope that means that, definitely our Canadians who will consider Rowdy as a breeding option. But the other thing that we'll do, of course, is that's going to bring his offspring into our Stallion and Stakes program moving forward. So when it comes to the future sales of those prospects, we really hope that we can support you back for your generosity and being a part of our program. So thank you so much for doing that.
Absolutely, not a problem. We're happy to put Rowdy Nick in the program, and we look forward to the continued future with the program.
Yeah. So hey, let's learn a little bit more about Rowdy Nick's background. Where and when did you come to own Rowdy Nick?
Well, it's kind of a sad but a great story in the end. Rowdy Nick actually came to me as a 2-year-old, an early 2-year-old, and we got him for free from some people that came to look at a horse that we had for sale. It was a son of Banjo Whiz. And they had actually called and asked us if we had a outlet for the kill market, so to say, I guess. And I said, well, what do you got? Because I had a neighbor that didn't live too far from me that kind of dabbles in that a little bit. And they sent me pictures of him, and they sent me pictures of his papers. And right away, I says, there's no way. I can't send this guy there. I just can't do it. So we did some extensive research. Obviously, we knew Rowdy Yankee, we knew Smart Chickalina, we knew Buono Chexinick and Reminick and Great Pine, all the great horses that were on his papers. The only one we really didn't know was Strike 'Em Out. So upon doing some research on Strike 'Em Out, we found out that Jordan Larson and Tanya Jenkins both showed him. His breeder was one of the top non-pros in our industry that's very famous and well known, Keith Crawford. So we decided, I said to the guy, I says, well, what do you got to have for the horse so I have an idea of what we're looking at? And he said, whatever you get for the horse, put it in your pocket and we'll call it even.
Wow.
So we kept the horse.
That's perfect. Oh, man.
So, yeah, they said that they wanted him to go there just simply because they had a rough time keeping him sound, and they didn't do any vet checking or anything to see why he wasn't sound. Well, it come out to be in the end that poor Rowdy had EPM.
Yeah.
And as we all know, EPM comes from the possums, and it's very prevalent here in certain states of the United States. And so we went to Kentucky to one of the top neurologists that they have at Rood and Riddles, and they put us on a plan, and we got him through it and treated him for it, and he's on a continuing vitamin E supplement to keep the immune system supported, and he's been doing great ever since. Unfortunately, because of that, we haven't been able to put him through the show pen.
Yeah.
But some of the greatest horses in the world have never been shown. It's I know several horses off the top of my head that have had over 40 plus world and reserve world champions, and they've never been shown a day in their life.
Right. Yeah. No, and we talked just briefly before we hit record on the conversation about exactly that. And man, what what a great story, Shawn. I mean, hey, there are not very many people out there who don't root for the underdog, and to me, that was the start of an underdog story. Is that kind of been the feedback you've got from people? Like they fall in love with that story when they hear it.
Absolutely. When people ask, we're not scared to tell them about it at all, and tell them why he never went to the show pen. It wasn't because we couldn't get him there. We had him really close to getting to that point, even. We've taken him to some shows and put him into some schooling type classes, and just kind of realized that, he may not just neurologically, he may not be able to handle the pressure
Mm-hmm.
that it takes to be a show horse. Here at home, we can ride him, we can train on him, we can do all the things because we can back off him when we need to. And, it's sad because the horse can turn a +1 like there's no tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
He is a +0.5 to +1 stopper every time. Ever since the day we put his 6th ride on him and he laid it in the ground and slid 6 feet with no sliders on, just barefoot, and we were just loping circles in the barn. I
Yeah.
said, gosh, this is too bad this guy can't be a show pony. I mean, to have that natural ability is just incredible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that answers one of my next questions, which was going to be, what are some of the things that you love about him? And you talked about some of the skill sets that are there. What about personality wise? How would you describe Rowdy Nick from that regard?
He's got the greatest mind in any stallion that I've ever probably come across, and I've come across several stallions throughout my years of breeding horses, as well as training some horses and so forth, and doing a lot of colt starting. I've never come across a stallion yet that's got the mindset that this horse has. In my barn, you can see through my walls from one stall to the next. They can all see each other. And he stalls right next to another stallion
Yeah.
that's a yearling, and they don't fight. They don't have a problem with each other. They get along great. He's got mares in the same barn as he's in, right across the alleyway, one stall away from him. It don't matter what you do with him. You can put anything you want next to him, and he doesn't care. When you've got him saddled up, we've had people bring their children out, and I mean we're talking 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kids, and they just, oh, I want to ride because they see him saddled. So okay, how many stallions can you put a 5-year-old kid on and turn your back to him and start talking to the parents, and the
Yeah.
kids riding your stud, you
Amazing.
know? So his mindset is just impeccable.
Yeah.
We just love the mind on this horse.
Yeah. Oh, that's and he wouldn't be doing this job based on everything that you've already told us so far. I mean, you wouldn't be investing in the time and energy and the cost of having him be a stud, given everything else that you talked about earlier. If there weren't so many great things about him to make it worth the while, I'm guessing there's a lot of reward, for that time given for yourself. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So let me ask you about this. So have you thought about, or have people started to sort of make a connection as to what's a great mare fit for Rowdy Nick?
We've had a lot of questions on that. Over the years that we've had Rowdy now, he's going on 11 years. He is 11 years old. We we've covered so many different varieties of mares over the past, breeding years. I mean, let's face it, Rowdy's kind of back to his mind a little bit, but Rowdy started breeding mares as a 3-year-old stallion that wasn't
Mm-hmm.
broke.
Yeah.
We actually got him riding under saddle after we started breeding mares. So he's done everything completely opposite of every stallion in our industry today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's just been phenomenal. And he's been live covering mares more than he's done any than the AI. He didn't start collecting and shipping an AI and on semen until last year or the year before, I believe. We started kind of getting him geared for that kind of thing as well. So he's done a lot of live cover, and that's a really tough thing for stallions to go from the live cover to being able to personally be around others without having a stallion
Sure.
moment.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, his attributes to what he's been passing on to his babies out of a variety of mares. We've had everything from old school Cutter Bill, Poco Bueno King, Wimpy bred mares, the really old school stuff, and he's crossed real well with them. We've bred daughters of Jack's Electric Spark, daughters of Hollywood Tinseltown. We've got a daughter of Walla Walla Bang Bang, who was a son of Gunner out of the mare Walla Walla Wanda, who is the mother to Walla Walla Wiz.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a baby out of him. We've got a baby out of a buckskin mare that's a double bred Hollywood Jack 86, and she's an NRHA money producing mare. We've actually crossed him back onto a daughter of Royal Chickalina and double bred the Chip Smart Chick. And there's nothing that we haven't crossed that he hasn't been able to cover
Yeah.
and produce a good looking quality baby.
And I'm guessing with that variety there, the cross into the other disciplines, of course, right now we're promoting the reining stakes program that we're running, but we are interested in bringing in the other Western performance disciplines, maybe looking at what does that mean for the roping industry up here in Western Canada. But you've probably seen some success then outside of the reining arena with other options as well.
Absolutely. We've actually got a mare in Illinois that a young girl owns. That she's barrel racing on the mare, and she's won multiple buckles and several checks on that mare. We've got a baby down in Texas that a lady owns. It's out of one of our old fashioned bloodlined mares, and she's been showing in the ranch riding and the ranch pleasure and the ranch events, and has come out to be the circuit champion for the circuit she showed at.
Okay.
We've got a couple here, right here in South Dakota, that run a very large calf rope and team roping barn. And they've actually bred to Rowdy because they say that the Bueno Czechsonic cross on their ropers has been a phenomenal cross, and they love them. They're just raving about him in that discipline too. So far, I mean, Rowdy's just been covering all the aspects of all the Western disciplines, and it's just been phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, hey, you mentioned live cover and then some shipping options. What's the best way for the local mare owners? But then if you're looking to go beyond that, because I think when it comes to the auction, there's a good chance that auction's won by someone who's looking for shipping. And so, what does that look like for Radonick?
Well, right now, we've teamed up with Interstate Veterinary Clinic, and I'm kind of working with them, trying to get them to be able to do some Canadian shipping. As we all know, unfortunately, it's a little tough getting semen to Canada sometimes. Some of the loops and stuff that you got to dive through. But we always have quality babies, and I know it's easier to ship babies into Canada live than it is to ship semen sometimes.
Definitely.
So we always want to offer that as an option. Sometimes some of the mare owners in Canada, they have their mares here because some say it's cheaper to raise the babies here. Of course, with getting the semen opens up their options. So there is that as well. We get our normal stud fee right now this year is 900, and our veterinary is doing phenomenal by our clients with the shipping and the collecting, and it's for in the U.S. anyway, it's $400 to collect and ship, all one fee. So they've done great for our clients in that respect to try to keep things as cheap and affordable as possible.
That's amazing. You know what? And that's through the work that we're doing with our auction program, as far as that cross border thing. I mean, the more we do it, the more we learn. Hopefully, the easier we can make it to jump through those hoops. But
Absolutely.
that it starts with people. When we look at that industry, there's a way that we can all support each other. You've supported us. We thank you. We hope that the people who are listening here now know a little bit more about Rowdy Nick and love his story, and maybe want to be a part of that story moving forward. So thank you, Shawn, for joining us today. Is there anything else that you wanted to cover before we sign off here?
I guess I can't think of anything right now. We look forward to our continued success with you guys as well, and we thank you for helping promote Rowdy Nick as much as we help promote your
Yeah.
guys' program, and hopefully together we can help make things to become a big success for everybody.
I will mention one more thing because I have seen that Rowdy Nick isn't just a part of our program. He's a part of some other programs. You mentioned, I believe it was off camera, about your prospects and registering them for the NRHA. Do you want to
Yep.
talk about any of the other programs that he's a part of?
Yeah, well, we, this year we put Rowdy Nick in the North Central Reining Horse Association Stallion Stakes because it's one of our more local programs, and we love supporting local as well as outside. His babies are also eligible for the North American Reining Stakes, which they hold two phenomenal shows, both
Great.
in the Carolinas and in Oklahoma as well, or yeah, Tulsa. And then we put him in the Montana Reining Stakes this year. So he's Montana Reining Stakes also. And then we've also got him in the All-Star program, which I think a lot of people have come to really appreciate the fact that they've actually relocated that program from Florida to the Great All-American Quarter Horse Congress in Ohio. So I think they found that was probably a phenomenal move on their part to do that. They saw some outstanding numbers. So we're trying to support some of the biggest programs that we can do without having to cost a lot of money to try to do the programs.
I think that that is going to be so essential because, say we have a Canadian who's able to win and have a prospect, then when it comes to selling that prospect, if they decide to move on from that horse, knowing that there are other people out there who are interested in these other programs, like it just works together. And so the more we do that, and so then likewise, if those breedings are happening south of the border, but now the 2-3-year-old whatever, you talked about selling those live ones to Canada because they're already in our program. It just works and it makes sense. So again, that speaks to the people such as yourself who are participating in those programs. They're intended to be strengthening the entire community, and we see that happening, and we're glad to be a part of it. So.
Absolutely, and we want to try to keep our stud fees as cheap as we can to make him an affordable stallion for a lot of people. And if we start putting him into a lot of these other programs, we aren't going to be able to do that. You
Fair.
start looking at the cost of promoting a stallion and putting him into programs, and I'm thankful that the stallions that are out there that are doing that do it. It's great. It's just something that we chose not to spend a lot of money on doing to keep it affordable, and hopefully our clients will appreciate that.
And that's what I've heard as far as the industry goes, is that when there's an option in where in that lower cost but smaller or larger number game where we get that larger participant base, then the opportunities still exist. And that's coming 3-4 years down the road. But that risk is just significantly reduced. You as the stallion owner, but then also then for the person who is paying for that breeding fee or owning that horse. So I think it all works together.
It does.
I think we're on the same page of that there. So that's wonderful. I mentioned before, I've driven past your place there in South Dakota multiple times in going back and forth to Kentucky. So it's a great part of the country. And I hope it's not too cold for you right now. I know there's been some interesting weather happening south of the border. I've got my daughter in Kentucky, my other daughter in New Orleans. She got to show people how to make a snowman there this year. She wasn't expecting that. So.
Yeah, we don't have any snow on the ground yet, but boy, we've really had the cold, and it's just been, in all honesty, it's actually been remotely bearable up until the last week or 2 weeks, and then we've had some pretty big Arctic fronts come through. But this time of the year, it's kind of crazy because we usually see all the snow in Texas gets the brown weather. Well, it's kind of been reversed.
Exactly.
So,
It has been funny. Well, I'll tell you what, as part of our program, of course, at all of our shows this year, Rowdy Nick's going to have a beautiful poster up along the back walls, and you're going to see him on our website, and you're going to see him promoted in our social media channels. Of course, this video is going up on our YouTube channel. So, our background in media before we got into the horse show production and reining stakes stallion program, we take advantage of all of that. So we look forward to providing you with some support for being generous to us. Thank you for joining us today. Our auction ends, of course, we're talking today, January 25th. So
yep.
we've got a week away from the end of our auction, but the opportunity with Rowdy Nick doesn't end there. And so we'll keep on promoting and working with you, hopefully in years to come.
Sounds great. I appreciate it very much, and we'll be doing the same.
Thanks, Shawn. Take care.
You bet. Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye now.